Today we're diving headfirst into the absolute clown show that is the left. Yesterday was the Super Bowl, and we got to see that America is the land of the free, home of the brave, and apparently the place where we need two national anthems to prove we believe in equality. That's right. The black national anthem kicked off the Super Bowl, and I guess we'll be waiting for the white national anthem in the second half, assuming it's not flagged for a penalty by the DEI referees. But hey, this is the new America, where unity means splitting everything in half, calling it progress. Meanwhile, the man who's actually making America great again, the guy who sent leftists into a 4-year tantrum, made history again. Donald Trump became the first sitting president to ever attend the Super Bowl. And let me tell you, the roar of the crowd in that stadium when he showed up. This wasn't just a moment. It was a sign of a broader cultural shift that's been taking place in the country for the last couple of years. Donald Trump appeared in that stadium in New Orleans, and the place erupted. Not polite applause, not a few cheers mixed in with grumbles. I'm talking full-throated, deafening applause and cheering. The kind of reaction that makes leftists clutch their oat milk lattes and scream at the sky. Meanwhile, the media, who spent years swearing Trump was finished, had to sit there in real time and watch the entire narrative they built collapse. And because the left can't accept reality, they immediately did what they do best: lie. Within minutes, they were flooding social media, scrambling to push the absurd claim that Trump was actually booed. Yeah, and Biden won 81 million votes by hiding in a basement. Think about how insane that is. For years, they threw everything they could at this man. They impeached him twice, they raided his home, they hit him with 4 criminal indictments, they froze his bank accounts and fined him $350 million. And yet, after all of that, Trump walks into a packed stadium and America cheers like he just won the Super Bowl himself. That doesn't happen by accident. That's not fringe support. That's a movement. And it's growing because people have seen what happens when Trump isn't in office. They've watched their paychecks shrink, their savings accounts disappear, their grocery bills skyrocket. They remember when life was actually better under Trump, and no amount of media spin can make them forget that. But let's talk about the absolute meltdown happening on the left, because these people, they are completely unhinged. They call Trump a dictator, yet they're the ones who try to remove him from the ballot like we're living in North Korea. They claim to defend democracy, but they're using the justice system as a political weapon against their enemies. They spent years telling us words of violence, yet they're perfectly fine with inciting actual violence and defending riots when it aligns with their causes. They don't care about fairness. They don't care about facts. They only care about control. And when reality doesn't go their way, they invent a new one. That's why they're desperately trying to rewrite what happened at the Super Bowl. They can't handle the truth. Trump is more popular than ever. And here's a real kicker. These tactics aren't going to work anymore. Americans have wised up. The media spent years pushing fake scandals, calling Trump a Russian agent, comparing him to Hitler, and declaring his presidency an existential threat to democracy. And yet, here we are. Trump is more powerful, more supported, and more inevitable than ever. Why? Because people are done listening to liars. They've seen their cities turn into crime-filled wastelands, their bank accounts reduce, their freedom shrink, all under the people who swore they were saving us from Trump. And now they're rejecting the lies. That's why Trump can walk into a stadium and get cheered like a returning champion. The American people have made their choice, and no amount of media gaslighting is going to change that. Now, while Trump did not get booed, one person most definitely did, and that was Taylor Swift. America has spoken, and it turns out we're not fans of Taylor Swift's DNC-sponsored world tour. The so-called biggest star on the planet got booed out of the Super Bowl, and now the media is running around like a bunch of cockroaches when the lights come on. They want you to believe this was just some rowdy Eagles fans being mean. Yeah, sure, buddy. Because nothing says random Philly aggression like an entire stadium of people, not just Eagles fans, uniting in one glorious, deafening chorus of "Shut up, Taylor," almost like people are sick of being force-fed the Taylor Swift experience, trademarked, whether they want it or not. And her reaction? She said, "What's going on?" Surprised. Imagine living in such a delusional bubble that hearing boos for the first time in your adult life physically confuses you. Poor thing. She thought she could float into a stadium, do her little queen wave, and be showered in adoration like she's the Pope of pop music. Not this time. The mask is slipping. People see her for what she is now, a corporate-backed, government-sponsored political prop. And of course, the usual NPCs rushed to her defense, acting like this was some kind of national tragedy. Serena Williams even hopped online to console her like she just lost a loved one in a drone strike. Meanwhile, Trump walked into that stadium and got the loudest cheers of the night because, unlike Taylor, he doesn't need the entire media industrial complex forcing people to like him. But here's the best part. The media is in full gaslight mode. While they're trying to convince people that Trump was actually booed, they're pretending Taylor's actual boos never happened. This is next level reality distortion, like trying to convince someone their house isn't on fire while they're literally standing in the flames. But the truth is, people are waking up. Taylor spent the last year whoring out her brand for the Democrats, shilling for Biden, and getting glowing media coverage at every turn. And now it's backfiring. Because the more the elites shove someone down America's throat, the more America gags. And Trump, he didn't even have to say a word. He just existed, and the crowd lost their minds. Meanwhile, Taylor Swift sat there stunned, realizing for the first time in her perfectly curated, PR-controlled life that not everyone is buying her act anymore. The Super Bowl wasn't just a game. It was a reckoning. And for once, Taylor wasn't the main character. She was just another overexposed, overhyped, politically manufactured celebrity who finally had to face the one thing her team can't spin: reality. America is changing. And for once, it's not because a bunch of bug-eyed elites in Hollywood, Silicon Valley, or Washington decided it should. No, this shift is happening against their will, and they are losing their minds over it. The Super Bowl was a perfect microcosm of this new reality. Trump walks in, thunderous cheers. Taylor Swift gets put on a jumbotron, booed like she just fumbled the game-winning play. And what does the media do? Lie about it in real time. They are so desperate to hold on to the illusion that they're still in control that they're literally trying to convince you that your own ears and eyes are lying to you. Sorry, but the gaslighting only works when people trust you. And that ship sank somewhere between 15 days to slow the spread, and you'll own nothing and be happy. For years, celebrities were treated like modern-day gods, despite having the IQ of a burnt hot pocket. The public was expected to worship at the altar of celebrity activism, nodding along as multimillionaires scolded them about climate change while flying private jets to their third mansion. But now, we're done with it. People don't want to be lectured by Taylor Swift, who went from writing songs about her exes to becoming a full-time Biden campaign staffer in a sparkly dress. The boos weren't just about her. They were about every smug, detached, self-important celeb who thinks Americans exist to be scolded and controlled. Yeah, we don't take life advice from people who need a team of 50 handlers to remind them how to breathe. And then there's Trump, the man they've been desperately trying to erase from history for nearly a decade. They impeached him, raided his house, indicted him multiple times, hit him with more bogus lawsuits than the mob, and yet he walks into a stadium and gets a hero's welcome. That's not supposed to happen. They were promised that America hated him, that the media had successfully poisoned his image forever. But guess what? It didn't work. Because no matter how many times they screamed, "Threat to democracy," people actually remember life was better under him and that things weren't as bad as we were told they were while they were happening. It turns out people care more about being able to afford groceries than about whatever new crime they just invented to throw at them. But the biggest lie we've been told? That we are the problem. That normal, hardworking Americans are somehow dangerous. That just existing as a sane, rational person in 2025 is a threat to someone's existence. They tried to divide us by race, gender, by political party, even by who we follow on Twitter. And they almost pulled it off. But they got greedy. They pushed too hard. And now, people aren't just waking up. They're fighting back. That's why stadiums are cheering for Trump and booing their precious celebrities. That's why people are finally rejecting the guilt trips, the manipulation, and the endless whining from people who contribute absolutely nothing to society. So here's the reality check. The game is over. The media doesn't control the narrative anymore. The celebrity worship is beyond dead. The guilt, the shame, the gaslighting, done. They spent years trying to program us into obedient little NPCs, but all they really did was wake people up to just how full of it they really are. The Super Bowl was just another reminder that America is done being lied to, and the people who spent years lying are absolutely terrified of what comes next. And they should be. So here we are, standing at the edge of a cultural reckoning, a moment where the illusion of control is slipping and the people who built their power on deception and manipulation are scrambling to hold on. But the question isn't just how we got here, it's why we ever tolerated it in the first place. Why did we let people who produce nothing, risk nothing, and contribute nothing dictate what we're allowed to think? Why did we accept a world where the loudest voices belong to the most disconnected, self-serving frauds? And most importantly, now that we see through it, what are we going to do? And most importantly, now that we see through it, what are we going to do about it? Because make no mistake, they're not going to give up their power willingly. The media, the celebrities, the Democrat political machine, they will lie, gaslight, and claw at reality itself to keep the illusion alive. But they've already lost the most important battle, trust. And once the people stop believing the script, the entire production falls apart. So the real choice isn't theirs anymore, it's yours. Do you keep playing along, or do you finally call the whole thing for what it is? A rigged game that was never meant for you to win. You tell me what you think in the comments down below. Hope you have a terrific day. Peace.